UT Pan American comes into today's game with a record of 3-5, including 2 wins over A&M Corpus, who hung within 9 or 10 of you last year. When you studied them on film, what concerned you the most about this team you just beat?
Number one, they've got a post player that didn't play a whole lot the first half. She does a great job of posting up. She can hit outside shots. She's strong as can be, and she really posts up well. And I was surprised they took her out after about 5 minutes, and she didn't play much the first half. Their guards are very quick coming off screens, off of handoffs, dribble weave type situations. We switched everything today. We did something a little bit differently. We switched every on-ball pick. We switched every handoff, every pitch. That's something we haven't done. And I thought our post players handled, when they did switch onto the guards, I thought they handled the drive. They didn't really let them turn the corner too much.
You come in with a team that presents these challenges for you, and then you double them up, 71-35 final score. Overall, was your team's performance as good as the score indicates?
I thought our first group played very well. When we subbed in at times, we had some young combinations. Like that very last group, we had, I believe, 3 freshmen on the floor and 2 sophomores. I thought they struggled with some things, some concepts. I thought they struggled with spacing on offense. We struggled a little bit defensively. It's just when you have young players on the floor, you don't always have that leader out there. And for instance, Chris Nasky played mostly 2 guard today in the last game, and she's very comfortable at the 2 guard. Sometimes too comfortable, because when she moves over to the point guard, she forgets that she's got to be the leader on the floor. She's got to take over that leadership role and be authoritative, which we had to call a timeout and remind her about that today.
You mentioned your defense, and in the first half, your defense was smothering. You got up 20 points early, held them over 10 minutes at one point without a single point. Held them to 17% field goal percentage, only 3 field goals in the first half. What was the key to your defensive performance today?
Oh, I think you said it's smothering. We did a good job of trapping when we had the trap, digging down, helping. I thought we rotated pretty good. We got after it. I thought we were very aggressive. We turned in some of those turnovers into transition points, which is what you want. Second half, we came out and played more zone. We worked on our zone, tried to work on our 2-3 a little bit because we haven't gotten a lot of work in it, and we needed it. We needed it for rotation's sake. We needed it. Our bottom people on the zone, especially our 4-player, needs some work. And so we're trying to fine-tune a few things. So really the second half we didn't play. Normally we'd come out and play man, but we decided that we were going to work on some things.
When you have a performance like that in the first half, you're up 39-13 at halftime, and again, defensively you're smothering them. What do you talk about at halftime? How do you guard against a potential letdown in the second half?
Well, there's a good side and a not a good side. There's 2 sides to when you're up like that, because as a coach you just fear them coming out and relaxing. And you look at the end of the first half. I had to call a timeout, and during timeouts, I'm looking at players go in one pass, and they want to get themselves in stat sheets, so they're taking quick shots. And that's, I said, you got to play the game like the game is tied. You got to play every possession like the game is tied. You can't be so relaxed that, hey, if I shoot a 1-on-2 situation and take a poor shot, would you do that if the game is tied? And, those are the things you have to talk about. You got to talk about keeping your aggressiveness. I thought they came out and outplayed us the first 5 minutes. They came out, they out-rebounded us. It was really a 3-point game the second half for like the first 10 minutes. So for me, I wasn't happy. And, you don't want to have letdowns. You want to be able to work on some things. As I said, let's work on our execution. Let's work on our transition game a little bit. We don't have anything. Let's work. You're always working on your offense. And kids, especially young kids stand. Young kids stand. Because they're always used to being the ones that have the ball in their hands. So they got to learn to play when the ball's not in their hands. And that's really, when you have 5 young kids on the floor, you got a lot of standing going on. So it's just something, it's game experience. They just have to learn at that speed. The speed of the game is different than it is in practice.
One of the young players who did get into the stat sheet was Destiny Hives-McCrae, had her second double-double with, 12 points and 11 rebounds. Also had a couple of assists, a block shot. Overall, what were your thoughts on her performance?
Oh, I thought she rebounded well. I thought her pursuit of the ball was good. She still needs to learn to play both ends. She needs to learn to play the defensive end as well as, and that's something we talk with Destiny consistently about, is she's got to go hard defensively. You know, she can be a heck of a player, but right now she's not always going 100% on the defensive end. And I thought today, though, rebounding-wise, I thought she did a good job going to the boards. You know, it's her position defense when she's off the ball, rotating, thinking a pass ahead, thinking a play ahead. Those are the things that you try and teach young players.
Kristen Askew, who you mentioned earlier, slid over and got some time at shooting guard today. 4 3-pointers, team high 14 points. Was that by design to get her more shots from long range, or did you see anything in practice that indicated she might be up for a big shooting day?
Oh, heck no. She came out shooting. No, the thing about it is we've talked about it, she's been shooting well. She's been shooting well in practice. And if you're shooting well in practice, you got to come in. You know, try to talk about being selective with these kids, but also don't be afraid to let it go a little bit. A couple games ago, I said we got to get better from three-point range. We got to get better. We've got to be a better outside shooting team. Somebody's got to help take the pressure off Alicia, especially until Keena gets eligible. And both Gabby and Kristen Askew have done that. That's been the encouraging thing. And Q has actually been a pretty consistent shooter in practice from three. And now she's starting to get her shot off the dribble a little bit, and she's varying her game a little bit more.
You got every player into the game. Every player scores. Is this the kind of game that you want as a coach before you have the break for final exams, so everybody can go into the break with a little bit of a confidence rush?
Well, we're hoping that we could play everybody. I really wanted to get Nia Jackson in the game. She's had a couple of really good practices. She hustles like crazy in practice. She works hard. I wanted to get Lex some minutes and Crystal Johnson, but it's nice because I especially wanted to rest Alicia and Akil. And that's important. You know, I know the coaches were on me maybe about subbing too early, but you also, in a game like this, you also try and rest players. One, you don't want you worry about injuries too. Sometimes they've played so many minutes. Sometimes they need to sit and watch because you learn a lot also from watching. On the other hand, you're trying to get other players some minutes and some game experience because it doesn't matter. There's nothing like game experience.